We begin with breaking news first at 4. We have received the 911 call, which is shedding light on the day 4-year-old Javeayah Harris was reported missing by her mother, Javeayah Harris. New warrants show the parents confessed in the case of Javeayah's death. In the call, the mother describes the neighborhood.
I don't know about this area much, but it's not a good area. I'll tell you that. It's not good.
Okay, you say you searched the woods. Is that behind your house?
Yes, it's like a pathway right behind my house.
Your Sydney Hood and Will Rio have been following this since the beginning. We now know that call was just fabricated. What new details are the 911 call and warrants revealing, Will and Sydney?
Well, Zaina, tonight, Javeayah is still missing. The search for her body is still ongoing. Her parents are still behind bars, and that call, like you said, Zaina, we now know is not true. We had been searching for the 911 call. We requested that last week. We now have the warrants as well. You listened to the full 911 call, so did I. Break that down and break down what these warrants say, Sydney.
Well, Will, in that call, you hear Javeayah's mom describe her to police. The description that we got was the same one that she gave deputies that night. She called 911 just before 9 o'clock Tuesday night, telling dispatchers her 4-year-old daughter had been playing outside and vanished. And what followed was a massive search. Thousands of acres, multiple agencies, days of looking for a little girl in dangerous summer heat. Arrest warrants released today tell a very different story than that 911 call. The warrants use stark language, saying both parents showed, quote, extreme indifference to human life. The warrants state that the parents failed to seek medical attention for Javeayah after she suffered an injury from physical abuse at the hands of Herring. The warrants also say the abuse happened between May 1st and June 15th, meaning Javeayah may have been dead for weeks before that 911 call was ever made.
Oh, my God.
Okay, I'm on the way to you. Just to confirm, where was she in the house when you saw her last?
No, she wasn't in the house, ma'am. She been playing outside today. And
okay.
She asked me, can she play for a little bit more before it got dark, and I said yes. And I literally, her bath water is in the tub, ran, and dinner is cooking, and I came out here to get her, and I can't even find her.
Now, in the arrest warrants, Will, Herring admits to disposing Javeayah's body somewhere else. And as you had mentioned earlier, both of Javeayah's parents remain behind bars tonight, both charged with homicide by child abuse, her mom facing a charge of filing a false police report.
Now, I want to go over the 911 call. It's around 5 minutes long, and if you had the chance to listen to that, it sounds like a real 911 call to dispatchers. She's very upset. The mother is very upset, saying that Javeayah had actually been outside playing with the chickens in the chicken coop. We knew that from the incident report that we got last week or over the weekend. And she also said that Javeayah had asked her to go inside and actually went inside and said that she wanted to play. So she had this story that she was telling this 911 dispatcher. And the most shocking part of this is that this whole story is not true. She gave an entire description of Javeayah, saying that she had pink beads in her hair, was wearing Minnie Mouse pajamas. She was very smart, very talkative, and was great at having conversations. So she had this entire story, said she was 39 weeks pregnant, couldn't keep up with her, was searching in the woods, and she needed help. She was unsure of some of the people that may have been around her house. But again, we do know that this story was not true. Again, she's charged with filing a false police report, and also in that warrant saying that she had disposed of her body in an area outside of Aiken County. And I think one of the parts of the warrants, and you pointed this out already, was that May 1st to June 15th mark for the homicide by child abuse charge. So again, Javeayah could have been gone for weeks before that 911 call was made. We know the sheriff telling us that Javeayah had likely been deceased for a month.
And another thing that I want to bring up, Will, is I was back out in the neighborhood today talking with neighbors of Javeayah. And I know one question that we had and many people at home had was, did Javeayah ever live in that house? I spoke to 3 neighbors today. 2 live across the street and 1 lives next door. And they said that they did see Javeayah at that house, but they had not seen her in about a month or too.
The other part of this warrant, I'll read it for you. I just want to make sure I'm getting the verbiage right, because you said there were some strong and powerful words in this warrant. They also mentioned that they did not seek medical attention for Javeayah after knowing that Javeayah had suffered injury which was obtained from physical abuse. Again, that charge, you see it right here on your screen. It's homicide by child abuse, and then the mother also charged with filing that false police report. The father is not charged with that at this time. But if you look at the father's warrant as well, it's interesting the verbiage that they use in his, and they say that he is charged with the homicide by child abuse, but it was from the victim's mother. So it clearly states that the victim's mother had done that child abuse and had caused those injuries to Javeayah, and then the mother was also charged in that warrant with disposing of Javeayah's body. So that gives us an insight as to what exactly happened and who did what in this case as well, according to these warrants.
Absolutely. And reading these warrants today will both of us getting a picture of what actually happened according to these warrants. I go back to that news conference that Sheriff Marty Sawyer had, where he was telling us the news that no one wanted to hear, that they believed Javeayah had been dead for at least a month. And he had one line that stood out to me where he said that by the time that 911 call was made, it was already too late for Javeayah. And certainly these warrants give us a better picture of that. Two different stories between that 911 call from her mother and what these warrants have to say as well.
It's truly hard to listen to. If you have a chance to listen to it, this is on our website as well, WRDW.com. And going back to the 911 call, there's the father's side to all of this. I interviewed with him on Thursday over the phone. That's also on our website if you haven't checked that out. And again, he gave an entire story as to what happened the day that Javeayah went missing. We still don't know if that's true or not, because we don't know if he was at the house at the time of that 911 call. He tells us he wasn't. He was out running some errands, went to 3 or 4 stores to get candy for Javeayah, get some alcohol, get gas, and some Black and Milds, and then had seen police and then ended up back home. But I asked him, did you know what happened to Javeayah? Do you know anything? He told me, no, sir, I don't. Again, charged with homicide by child abuse. In this case, we have the full 911 call on our website, again, if you haven't checked that out. We also have the warrants. We'll have more throughout this evening, Zaina.
Sydney and Will, thank you. Just hard to listen to that 911 call, hard to read those warrants. You just question, you just don't know how a parent could do such a thing. The big question still remains, where exactly is Javeayah? Your Meredith Anderson has been at the search site for Javeayah's body at the Fairfield and Chester County line. Meredith, what's the latest search efforts looking like?
The search for the body of 4-year-old Javeayah Harris is concentrated here in rural Fairfield County. To give you an idea, it's about 2 hours outside of Augusta, and no one is getting in this area at all. You can see they've got the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office blocking it off. So really the only people coming and going are investigators. And I'm told that this is an access to Debutary Creek, which feeds into a much larger body of water. Something to note about this body of water. And it's well known around for fishermen in the area because it's really good fishing for crappie. The reason it's good is because it's filled with stumps. The Rocky Creek Pond that is not too far from here is nicknamed Stumpy Pond by a lot of the locals. So that goes to show you the water is kind of treacherous for boats, good for fishing, but there's lots of places for fish to cover. So that could mean some clues into what investigators are having to go by. Something else here too, we have been here for a couple of hours. It's been raining, it's been thundering. That is important because we know drone teams are in the area, and because of the weather that we've been facing today, perhaps drones have not been able to go up in the air. A note about this location too. This is a location where Javeayah Harris's family started showing up Saturday. I was here Saturday. I tracked the area through the back of the tail number on SLED's helicopter. It was up in the sky. It was circling the water here. So I hopped in the car and I drove here. And I wasn't the only one. Javeayah Harris's family members were coming here. They don't live too far from here. And they had seen the news about their loved one on Facebook, on social media, and this was after the sheriff's office made the announcement that she is likely dead. Cars coming and going all day today. Not really sure which one, a lot of them unmarked, but we've seen a lot of DNR and a lot of the local Fairfield County Sheriff's Office coming and going here today. But again, back to her family. Once they found out about her likely death, they didn't know where to go. They didn't know what to do, and they wanted information. So they came here looking for answers. And today, we're getting more answers. We got a copy of the warrants, and today we learned that both the mother and the father have confessed. At least that's what the warrant said, and that the mother confessed to disposing of Javeayah's body. That is of particular interest because, as far as we know, this is the only area that they are searching right now. And I can tell you, after being out of here Saturday, we saw law enforcement from a bunch of different agencies, but DNR seemed to be the most pronounced, I guess you could say, agency out here. I saw multiple boats that were being pulled out of here with trailers, ATVs, those were on trailers being pulled out. There was a rather large mobile command unit. So this appears to be the spot where they are searching for her body. We will continue monitoring this today. I'm trying to get a look at the cars that are coming and going in the different agencies, but we're told that Aiken County is the lead on this investigation. So none of them have been able to give me any information, but even more sadly so, none of them have been able to give any of the information to Javeayah Harris's family members as well. But for now, that is the latest here in rural Fairfield County, South Carolina. Meredith Anderson, on your side.
Meredith, thank you. And here at home this weekend, the community coming together to show their support for Javeayah at a vigil last night. People showing their support with candles and through prayer. They also have created a memorial right outside of her home with stuffed animals, balloons, and candles. And it's very nice to see the community just coming together for this little girl that they don't even know. And you can just see it in the numbers right there from the vigil last night in that memorial.
Well, we were able to find SLED's chopper flight pattern for their search efforts here over Fairfield County, just off of Debutary Creek access. Now we are learning from DNR that they have had dive teams and boats within the water around this area searching for 4-year-old Javeayah's body. As this investigation becomes more urgent and more heartbreaking, investigators now saying that this search has turned into a homicide investigation. For days, the public was shaken over 4-year-old Javeayah Harris, who was initially deemed missing.
When she popped up missing close to my house, I was like, we got to do something. Investigators
now conducting air and water search efforts in Fairfield County in what they say is an area believed to be connected to the case. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division and Department of Natural Resource gathering information, while Aiken County Sheriff's Office says Harris's parents confessed that their child was actually dead nearly a month earlier as a result of abuse from her mother. Search efforts spanning well into the evening. Meanwhile, the Aiken community is struggling to keep the pieces together.
And I thank God everybody in Aiken County came together and tried to help. And I praise God for that, because that's what we need to do. We all need to come together with one another.
Okay, guys, the arrest warrants are out for Javeayah's parents, and according to those, they admitted to what happened. Both now face homicide and child abuse charges, and her mother is also charged with filing a false police report. Investigators are still searching for Javeayah's body. Father's homicide by child abuse warrant. The affidavit alleges the father accused of Javeayah's death while committing child abuse or neglect. Javeayah suffered an injury that was never medically treated because of physical abuse by her mother. The information was obtained through the co-defendant's confession and the father's own statements to the investigators. The alleged incident occurred between May 1st and June 15th. So, yeah, probably a month ago. The mother's homicide by child abuse warrant. The affidavit alleges the mother caused Javeayah's death while committing child abuse or neglect. Javeayah suffered an injury that went untreated because of physical abuse by her mother. The information came from the co-defendant's confession and the mother's own statements. She also alleged that the conduct also occurred between May 1st and June 15th. Her mother, y'all.
The heartbreaking end of Javeayah's story turned into a moment of unity for Aiken Sunday night.
I think the community is awesome. They're here for the child. They're here for a little girl that they ain't never met, don't even know, but there's a lot of love in their heart for this child. And we're here to show our love for her.
We don't know why it happened. I would have taken that pretty child. Yeah. Raised as my granddad.
Those that never even met her told me Javeayah felt like one of their own.
Knowing that this little girl, 4 years old, defensive, not being able to defend herself throughout this tragical moment, man, it adds on to the pain, the stress and the agony. Like, I felt like that was my child.
She was so pretty. I'm pretty sure anybody would have took it, man. Yes. I would have took it. It would have been hard, but I done took it.
And the community will always be there for Javeayah's extended family.
To Javeayah's extended family, you guys, I'm so sorry. Javeayah was a beautiful little girl, and her extended community here in Aiken, we love her, and we're praying for each and every one of you. And if you need anything, your community is here for you.
Hey, what up, y'all? Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I got an update here on the Javeayah Harris case. Let's get it. Shout out to Law and Crime.
That is the voice of 4-year-old Javeayah Harris, a little girl who police claim is now dead. Her parents are in jail. They're charged with killing her. But this case has a bizarre and disturbing twist.
The hardest announcement that I've ever had to make in my 36 years career in law enforcement. She had been deceased for at least a month.
How do the police know she's dead if they haven't found her? We're bringing in a criminal defense and civil rights attorney to help break down everything. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. By the way, if you're into content creation, if you're putting things out on social media, you might be seeing that we put so many of these clips out there so quickly in these rapidly developing stories. The reason that we're able to do this, how we're able to do it, is we use something called Opus Clip. And this is an all-in-one AI editor that makes it so easy to cut, create, and upload videos across any platform. Through AI, Opus Clip generates B-roll, it reframes footage, and even cleans up audio. It is so easy. Just visit opus.pro/sidebar. You sign up, you upload, and in minutes you'll have perfectly edited clips ready to go. For TikTok, Shorts, Reels, Opus Clip is really your one-stop shop, and having a tool like Opus Clip means that our producers can get you viral corporate updates instantly. This is the most powerful tool there is to share ideas and edit like a pro. So go to opus.pro/sidebar to get a free week and then 50% off. This is an absolutely stomach-churning, horrifying story out of South
Very
Carolina.
much.
And it is one that has now taken a devastating turn. I wish it wasn't the case, but this is what law enforcement is saying. A 4-year-old little girl, Javeayah Harris, was reported missing, and according to her family, she wandered away from the front yard of her home. Hundreds of people joined this search. Wandered away from the front yard of her home. Hundreds of people joined this search. Deputies, helicopters, drones, canines, everyone hoping that she'd be found alive. But now, investigators claim that's never going to happen. According to the Aiken County Sheriff's Office, Javeayah had already been dead for at least a month before anyone called 911 to report her missing. Her parents, Javeayah Herring and Javeayah Harris, are now charged with homicide by child abuse. And Herring is also charged with filing a false police report. But here's what makes this case so unusual, so different, potentially challenging for prosecutors. There's no body, as of yet, right? Investigators are still searching, but they haven't found this little girl, which, as we'll get into, could present a challenge. But now the question becomes, how can authorities definitively say she's been dead for weeks if they haven't recovered her body? How do they know for sure? What evidence led them to file these homicide charges? What do police believe happened during that month before she was ever reported missing? Look, I'm going to try to get into all of that, what police are saying so far, the sheriff's major update in the case that broke over the weekend, just as the parents appeared in court to face a judge for the first time. But first, here's how all of this unfolded. So according to police, on June 30th at around 8:15 p.m., Aiken County deputies received a 911 call. Mother reported her 4-year-old daughter missing, saying Javeayah was playing at the front yard near a chicken coop when she mysteriously wandered off. And just like that, a massive search gets underway. I'm talking more than 200 personnel on the ground, helicopters, drones, canines. Even the FBI got involved. And for days, this is what everyone was focused on, finding this little girl alive and bringing her home. And then sadly, something shifts. The search is scaled back. And on July 4th, Aiken County Sheriff Marty Sawyer called a press conference to deliver what he says was the hardest announcement he's ever had to make.
I'm deeply saddened to tell you that our investigation and evidence leads us to believe that 4-year-old Javeayah Harris is deceased. It's the outcome that we all feared, and sadly, it's the outcome that we must face. We'll have to face it together as a community. Sadly, the night of the 911 call on June 30th, when that call was made, it was already too late to save Javeayah. At this time, our investigation supports that she had been deceased for at least a month.
Now, the sheriff also addressed the search itself, and he made it clear that they're still looking, but he also hinted at something else.
Our search for Javeayah drives on. We are continuing to put massive law enforcement resources to work to recover Javeayah and bring her home. We all hoped and prayed to find her alive, but it's extremely important to bring her home to her family, and it's important to bring her home for us.
Right.
We are currently searching an area of interest right now, not in Aiken County. Additional charges may be forthcoming. We'll figure that out as the investigation goes further.
Okay, so now I want to talk about bond. And both parents appeared before a judge on July 5th. Neither of them walked out. First up, let's talk about 22-year-old Javeayah Harris. Listen to what a judge told her. This is courtesy of WRDW about the charges she's facing.
Ms. Harris, you've been charged with homicide by child abuse. You understand that charge?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if convicted, it carries up 20 years to life in prison. You understand that? You've also been charged with filing a false police report of a felony violation. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
It carries up to 5 years in prison for a $5,000 fine. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So with regards to the homicide by child abuse, it carries 20 years to life if convicted. Based on the severity of the charge and the penalty that it carries, I do not have the authority to set bond. You will have to go before a circuit court judge. A circuit court judge will basically do what I'm doing, but will have the authority to set a bond on you. Sometime within 30 days, you will have that opportunity to go before the circuit court judge. With regards to the filing false police report of a felony violation,
Tap screen, please.
It's set for $5,000, but because it's connected to the homicide charge, I'm going to deny bond.
Now you go to 23-year-old Javeayah Harris. Listen to this exchange.
You've been charged with homicide by child abuse, which carries a prison sentence if convicted of 20 years to life. You understand that? Is with regards to the charge. Bond, you're here to have a bond set, but this court does not have the authority or the jurisdiction to set bond for a sentence of a crime that could get you life in prison. So today's bond is being denied. It's also being transferred to the circuit court.
Why did I do that?
Being transferred to the circuit court, where a circuit court judge will case within the next 30 days.
So look, that is where we stand right now. You have these parents in custody. You have this belief by law enforcement that this little girl is dead. You don't have a body. You're trying to figure out how this case is going to unfold. And I want to try to make sense of it because it's a really, really disturbing case. I want to bring on criminal defense and civil rights attorney Tyler Bailey into this discussion. Tyler, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. This is a strange one. It's a sad one, but a strange one. The idea that law enforcement can say, we believe she's dead without the body. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is strange, but in South Carolina, you do not need a body to prove a homicide. You need evidence. And the sheriff, he went on TV during that press conference and announced that they have shifted their investigation towards a homicide versus a missing person because they believe there's evidence that leads to the parents being the culprits of homicide by child abuse here. And it's a sad situation. They're not showing their whole hand about what they have, but they believe they have enough to move forward with those charges.
Why is it difficult or more difficult for prosecutors to prove a case of murder or prove a case of homicide, whatever the charge may be, without a body?
It's an evidentiary hurdle. One of the questions that jurors will want to know is, where is the body? And that's something that the defense will try to highlight in their representation of the accused here. So it makes it more difficult for the state to prove, but it's not impossible for them to prove. It can be done by circumstantial evidence, and likely they have a lot of that here, unfortunately.
Because the idea is you wouldn't be able to determine cause of death, right? You wouldn't be able to determine the exact circumstances of how someone died. So that's room for the defense to argue reasonable doubt. I guess the question becomes, how can they definitively say that she's dead? I mean, isn't that...
I think what was so cool about Expo was that it could cut on so many things. Like, when you think about other machines, you could cut paper or just a very small limited number of materials. And for me, I was in a place as a business owner where I wanted to innovate. I wanted to get away from just printing art prints, and I wanted to...
Question becomes, how can they definitively say that she's dead? I mean, isn't that... I'm sure, what is the hurdle? What is the amount of evidence they can determine we know that she's no longer alive? Is it because, you're also dealing with a young girl like this who is not an adult? It's not like somebody could sustain injuries and wander off or how do they know definitively she's deceased?
That statement that was made was a bold one by the sheriff, and they must have something. It could be text messages that they have. There could be video evidence that they have. It could be witness statements, forensic data. It's not impossible for them to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt that there was a death that occurred and criminal conduct is what led to the death occurring, and that's what has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. But like you mentioned earlier, they're going to highlight that the defense will highlight that there's some reasonable doubt here, and they'll try to poke any holes in the state's case, and we'll see what they have. But the state's holding their cards pretty close to the chest, and they say they believe and they have enough evidence to move forward.
I mean, the idea of this search now, it's the search to recover her remains. Is that what you're getting the sense? And why it's so important to the family to just get some answers, to get their, obviously, from an evidentiary point of view, and a forensic testing point of view, and an investigative point of view, it's going to be important to try to find her remains, but also for the family. I mean, we talk about it in a similar fashion with the Nancy Guthrie case. I mean, there's a lot of indicators to believe that, unfortunately, Nancy might not be alive, but the family wants some sort of answer, right? They want to have the body, they want to have the remains, they say, bring them home, right? I mean, that is a very important factor that can't be overlooked, and even if they believe that this little girl is dead, it doesn't take away from the importance or the effort of searching for her.
Absolutely, and I don't even believe that the sheriff's primary concern right now is specifically the case. What he has referenced and what this community needs is some justice, accountability, and closure for that family. So they're looking everywhere for the body. I would love to believe that she's alive, and they're definitively saying that this is a homicide investigation, and the family needs closure. Having somebody, your loved one, missing, especially a young child like this. I mean, so many people likely loved her. She seemed like a beautiful young soul. It's really a tragedy. It needs some closure, and that's why the FBI, the Upsleded, who's involved, multiple sheriff departments that are involved, and they're working tirelessly to bring her home.
Are child abuse cases tough to prosecute? Let me rephrase that. I don't mean tough to prosecute in the sense the subject matter could be the hardest cases that you ever have to deal with, obviously. But it does make me wonder, are they tough to secure a conviction for prosecuting in the sense? Are there alternative explanations for how a child could get hurt? Or, they're young, they run around, they fall, and particularly if you have a case with potentially no body, can those be difficult cases for a prosecutor to secure conviction?
I would think so.
Child abuse cases, homicide by child abuse, talking about that.
Homicide by child abuse specifically is a difficult case to prove when there is no body. And that makes it a lot more difficult than there would be if there was unfortunately a child's body who was able to be examined through an autopsy mechanism of injury, things of that nature. Most of the time, child abuse cases that do not rise to the level of a homicide are easier to prosecute, but they still are gut-wrenching just because of the sheer nature of the evidence and not taking any of the gruesome reality of it as for benefit of the doubt. And they need to prove every element of the crime without a reasonable doubt, and that means they need to lay out all the facts and circumstances before a jury, which makes it difficult for the prosecution to move through that evidence in a way that the jury can comprehend it. But switching here, looking specifically at this case, homicide by child abuse and neglect, and you do not have a body, makes it a little bit more difficult for the prosecution.
By the way, the sheriff also hinted at these arrests and that maybe more could be coming. Maybe. I want to take a listen.
We've arrested her dad, 23-year-old Javeayah Harris, and her mom, 22-year-old Michelle Harry, for homicide by child abuse and 5 false report. Additional charges may be forthcoming. We'll figure that out as the investigation goes further.
What did the sheriff mean by what additional charges could be?
He's pretty coy about not saying exactly what those specific charges could be, but there's several that I think they could be a reality here. The penalty for homicide by child abuse and neglect is 20 to life. You have up to 5 years for the false report. There could be a situation where this turns into a murder investigation, and if a grand jury finds that the evidence is sufficient, that could put the death penalty on the table. Here in South Carolina, there could be some accessories after the fact, or accessories who help conceal some of the evidence. Could be obstruction of justice charges. It seems like they're leaving the door open for anything that the evidence leads to show there's a crime that committed, and that's what they should do so there'll be full justice here. And the body has not been found. They're probably still interviewing witnesses who may have information, and so that could lead to there be more charges. Namely, I believe it could be upgraded if there's more facts here, and there could be some other people who could be accessories after the fact who obstructed justice.
When you see two characters, two parents charged, do you see a situation, and we're in the early stages, I don't know exactly what would be argued or what the defense would be, do you see one blaming the other?
Me. No idea why. Whatever. Oh, what's up? I know I'm an elite athlete. Just look what I can do at Citgo. People come up to me all the time.
What would be argued or what the defense would be? Do you see one blaming the other?
That could be a possibility here. We don't know. I do know that there appears that one person made the phone call to the sheriff's department. The other had an alibi as to where they were, and so we don't know what happened. The false report could be somebody who may be more culpable for obstruction of justice, and there could be somebody else who actually did more of the physical aspect of the crime. I don't want to speculate too much, but any situation where you have life in prison that's on the table, you're likely to have people looking to point the finger at the other to reduce the amount of time they may serve.
Tyler, both parents here were denied bond. Both appear that it seems that they're going to go before a judge in the coming weeks. Both have been ordered to comply with DSS requirements. Are you surprised both were denied bond, and what does it mean that DSS is involved?
Anytime you have a child who's been harmed, and if there are other children of the parents, then DSS will be involved. They could temporarily remove the children from custody of that parent and place them with another loved one who would temporarily have custody of them. And then I'm not surprised at all about bond being denied. In South Carolina, the first step in bond hearings is seeing a magistrate judge. The level of this offense is higher, so it has to go to a circuit court judge, and that will probably be heard within 30 days. So they'll go up before a judge to see if they can get a bond later on. And the facts of this case are looking like that's going to be less likely of an event of them getting bond. If they do get one, it'll be a substantially high one, and we'll see what DSS finds in their investigation of the parents as well.
There's another part to this. This mother, this defendant, this is according to reporting, authorities confirmed in this presser, that she had given birth to another child, but we're not sure if investigators believe that birth had anything to do with the timing of this missing child report.
It did.
That's a significant development, too.
Yeah, it is a significant development. She's a mother, and she had another child, and she's currently sitting behind bars with bond being denied. And so there needs to be somebody to take care of that child. And I also can give you a little bit about the state of mind that she was in. We'll see what her defense uses regarding that. I'm not sure how far along she is in the birth of her new child. Whether postpartum could be something that they look into. But there's a lot of nuances here.
Right.
Family dynamics involving Javeayah's parents, and also this new child and who's going to be taking care of them, and what effect, if any, that has in the state's prosecution.
Now, something else I want to get into. Before the arrests, station WRDW actually spoke with the father here. So you had reporter Will Rio, who interviewed Mr. Harris by phone on Thursday, July 2nd, and this was while the search was still active. And you look back to that interview now and you wonder, what do we make of it, right, based on these allegations? And look, they're both innocent, must be guilty. But this is part of what he said. I got up at around 5-ish, and my daughter was outside playing. My girl was out there watching her. I left the house around 7. I got back to the house maybe around 7:15. I went to like 3 stores maybe. I was back at the washing machine that was right beside the
Vague
Circle K.
story.
And when I was at the Circle K, I was seeing a lot of police. I did not know that it was my house. My girlfriend at the time, she did not have service on her phone, so she could not call me. So she just ended up calling 911. When I came back to the house, I seen a whole bunch of police right in my house. She came up crying to me saying my Javeayah was missing, and I kind of freaked out. Tyler, thoughts on that? I wonder, is a part of that thing true, even given the allegations, or is it suspicious? Again, he's innocent unless proven guilty, but I thought that was interesting in this interview.
He's innocent until he's proven guilty, but the fact that he gave that recitation very specific about what he was doing, he said a few stores here and there. I mean, there's some parts that could be dissected. Whatever the reason for it is certainly going to be used against him now. They're going to look to corroborate any specifics in the alibi he tried to give. And it's not uncommon a lot of times in missing person cases that you have people who are the culprit or accused who are participating in the search. They're talking to people, they're showing up. I don't know the specific reasons for the father doing this here. We as you said, he's innocent, or he's presumed innocent until proven guilty. But it is kind of odd that he decided to give an interview to the media, knowing where they were with this situation, and that the sheriff said that the child, unfortunately, he believes was deceased at least 30 days prior to the mother giving the call.
I want to just show one more thing here. There is this video of Javeayah. It was posted online. It is heartbreaking.
Hey, what you want to say about the baby? Baby.
It's a heartbreaking video to see, Tyler. I want to be careful about how we say this, but I think one of the questions that may come out of it, maybe an important investigative question, is there is something arguably noticeable in the video. I think something that people could say is it appears there may be a bump or a mark on her head. We don't know for sure. We don't know when this video was taken. We don't know if it's related to this case in any way, but it is something that we're seeing already people have noticed. Your thoughts?
It's unfortunate, and a lot of times in child abuse and neglect cases, there are signs that are out there that people may turn a blind eye to or may not think it is anything. But that's why it's very important in these situations, especially for mandated reporters, to make these reports to law enforcement, to the Department of Social Services, so they can investigate this. And I really hope that this child wasn't being abused and living in an abusive situation before this incident. But if she was and other people knew about it, they should have said something, and maybe we wouldn't be where we are today.
Tyler Bailey, thank you so much for taking the time. I know this is a rapidly developing situation. I know we're still trying to understand it, but I appreciate you giving your expertise, your insight into this. Really,
and that's it for this.
Case to talk about, but thank you so much.
Anytime, thank you.
And that's all we have for you right now here on site.
Thank y'all for being here. I pray and hope see y'all again soon. Peace.